Dr. Mohanad, you did a beautiful talk. Thank you so much. Uh, just wanted to understand, you talked about capabilities and you talked about technologies. A balance in 4.0. A lot of people think when you advance technologies, you're going to lower the labors and you're going to lose probably jobs. If I ask you to balance between capabilities and technologies, what percentage you give and how you actually balance that?
That's a global debate. And it's a great question. Tell you, I joined the company about 2010, and we're a company of 1,200 people in Saudi. Today, we got almost 3,000 people. And even from a manufacturing point of view, I remember we had almost 20-30% less number of people in the factory about 4 or 5 years ago. The investments we've made in technology, in tools, in process improvements made our shop floor technicians and engineers more productive, which in turn created more opportunities for us in the market because we were able to lower our costs and have better absorption and better market outreach. So you would think that by investing in technology that will make certain redundancy in terms of the actual hours spent would actually turn to be more effective in creating more opportunities for us in the market. And what technology has also allowed us to do, I mean, we use what we call the SFDC, it's a system, the Salesforce. Our supply chain, when they do their S&P and they do their forecasting of the market, you're able to negotiate better with your suppliers, you're able to forecast and able to deliver in much faster, which turned to be for actually more jobs created rather than less jobs created, less hours for sure spent on the shop floor. But holistically, as a company, we ended up getting lots of more benefits in terms of market share and geographical outreach, not only in Saudi, but across the region and the globe. By the way, last year, believe it or not, we shipped highly customized units to China. And people's like, Saudi made products to China? I'm like, yes. Because we're able to do it, highly customized units. When it comes to China, they talk about scale. But if you have products and services that requires customization, we actually giving the ambient temperature, giving certain scale based on the mega and the giga jobs we've had in the past, we're best positioned to do that. But we had to be competitive. And that's what technology has allowed us to do.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohanad. Let me open the floor for questions. Anybody have any questions before I go back to my speakers? Anybody? Do we have extra mics?
Thank you very much, Duan. The question is, does open automation affect your products by increasing price and with the new factory or new products they come to the market, it's like they compete with the price. So does it affect today the prices and affect the demand and supply that you?
If anything, I believe what it did, it increased the level of productivity of the employees. It also improved our ability to negotiate better with our supplier. It increased also the cycle time from the manufacturing side all the way for the products to reach the customers, which meant better cash cycle. So I've seen that make it or I mean, it's normally the discussion we have and the heated discussion between the finance organization and the manufacturing guys. The manufacturing always, they want to do more automations, and the finance guys show me the ROI for that particular tools or that particular machine. And I've always sided with the manufacturing side, because it will always pay off better in terms of customer satisfaction. And I'll tell you something that we'll not address today. Frankly speaking, as you guys are starting your business, perceptions of your customers will increase dramatically if they were to come and visit your factory and see that you're employing technology. That by itself will allow you to have more premium on your products. Quality. Visit our factories in China, and it's something that we were not using here in Saudi yet, because we don't have that particular products yet. They're doing all kind of weldings using machines. The precisions that you get on products that are manufactured by machine is much better than welder on the shop floor. So even your level of quality increases. Yes, it might be cheaper to get a welder than to get a machines to do the job, but if you look at the entire cost from a wall to wall, you're still better off using the technology. So that's my answer to that question. Thank you.
Dr. Mohanad, you mentioned that policy and regulations in Saudi has improved a lot, and it's now maybe reflected in the US even. Can you tell us when this became the case and what happened in terms of
Well, I'll have to give credits to Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman. It was a painful journey. I mean, frankly speaking, I mean, he took personal interest to ensure regulations when it comes to energy efficiency ratios, and it came from his position as Minister of Energy. I mean, Saudi did not want to burn crude oil in Saudi. They wanted to sell it outside. So the Energy Efficiency Center get created about 6, 7, 8 years ago, maximum. And that's when they've changed the regulations around efficiency. We used to sell products in Saudi at almost 6 and 7 EERs, while the US was almost at 11 or 12. And it was a big issue for Saudi. Today, the journey, I mean, and when I say draconian measures, because it was not done incrementally. I mean, almost every year for the past 7, 8 years, you see new regulations. That's why we had to go and build our own laboratories and our own R&D just to cater for those changes in regulations that came. And the Energy Efficiency Center got created, and then they created the Tarshid, which is owned by the PIF company, and they do energy auditings. And I spoke about that. So those regulations came, and they use carrot and stick kind of. Now you've seen it. Lots of private sector entities are actually coming to us to do the energy auditing to reduce the amount of energy consumed. So I would say it's been a journey, a painful one, but we're seeing the benefits of that journey. Not us and other manufacturers in Saudi. I hope I answered.
Today, if you don't innovate, literally, you're either out of the market or you will have a last seat, or you might probably leave. Johnson Control, how do you help and support your employees to innovate, and how do you accept new ideas from your employees with new innovations? Please.
Important question. And when I talk about Johnson, I said the company was created based on innovations. I mean, the room thermostat example I gave is still one of the main guiding principles for the company today. When I talked about R&D, I remember during the Corona time, our team in the factory they've created actually when there was a big shortage of respirators, and they've created that. They've created products, actually, these synthesized airplanes. And some of the things that we don't manufacture as a company, but they did it out of that culture of innovation. And it pays off. Truly, when it comes to processes, innovation is not only products. We have CI programs around the company. We had certified Six Sigma professionals around the company. We gave even, incentives for people to conduct training for other employees, being subject matter experts in different. We also ran a program, I remember, about ideations. So any employee can provide his idea and present it. We've brought in, I remember, the program called the Young Leadership Program, and the idea was to bring young leaders fresh out of college and have them, come and roam around the companies and fix it. And it was, for me, it was the best way, because I, as a CEO, I had to meet with these young leaders at the time and listen to them. And they were actually kind of, criticizing the business as usual and how. And I'll tell you, if you're to ask me, the number one thing that affects our ability to innovate, and I'll tell you, it's a small little things. Every Wednesday, I have my staff meetings in the company, and I start the meeting by listening to 2 customer calls every week. And
Excellent.
Those customer calls meant that I innovate from outside in rather than from the inside out, because you could claim that you have the best products, the best services, the best, and then if your customers feel otherwise,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So truly,
Absolutely,
so if as young entrepreneurs, if you really want to do something, listen to your outside customer and then take it and innovate based on that. And if you're like, the number one thing I've done for the past 10 years with no stop is just that.
Did you all hear this? This is extremely important. Understanding your customer need and understanding how do you actually satisfy them is way more important. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think I'm running out of time here. I just wanted to introduce something very quickly. KAUST establishing a 4th Industrial Revolution Center, inshallah. This with the collaborations of our partners in Midlib. The center, as we speak today, is right now we're almost completing our blueprint, and hopefully, inshallah, this time next year, you will all have access to it. And the major objective of the center is to actually support adoptions of 4IR technologies. Now, we cannot claim that we can help on everything. However, with the collaborations of our university here and the industry, will be able to do that. Now, just as a closing remark from anyone, honestly, what advices you would like to give the young entrepreneurs and when I say young, not young in age, young in their probably business age, what advices you give to just 1 minute each? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Just want to capitalize on what I've heard from my colleagues here. Government incentives, if it means hiring someone dedicated just to look at incentives and ask him, you eat what you kill. There are enough incentives out there. The government created the right ecosystem. And I have my team in Kenya paid 80% by the government, where we're exhibiting Saudi-made products. The government will pay tickets for potential customers to come and visit your factories in Saudi, up to 80% from the SIDA, from the Saudi Export Development Authority. It does pay off. And we've created a program last year. I'm a board member in the Distinguished Initiatives, where we bring college students and also students from schools, from high schools, to visit factories. We ran the program last year. 10,000 students visited factories. About 10 get direct acceptance this year to the engineering college in the University of Jeddah. And I'll tell you guys, ideas coming from those students and the benefits for some of the factories that receive those students are quite mind-boggling, because you're talking about students who are 15 and 16 and 17 years old. So do surround yourself with those talents, and sky is the limit. Good luck.
All right.
السلام عليكم. صراحة remarkable. Notes and speech. Thank you so much for that. My name is Sam. Just my question to you, Doctor. We are startups. Cash flow is always an issue. Limited resources. This is a fact. R&D needs some cash to invest on. Whenever you like. We would like to think about R&D, so we need to invest some cash in there. So, when do you think we as a startup will be ready to build our own, to invest in an R&D sector or development in our company? Thank you.
I think my colleagues here are more equipped to answer that. I mean, frankly, my answer to that is collaborate to accelerate. And I give it to someone who told me this. You could collaborate with institutes like KAUST, and we see today the outcome of that with Dr. Mustafa here. Universities, I always say, bridging the gap between the knowing and the doing. We had lots of academic institutions in Saudi. I know professors, they look for that collaborations with startups, with the private sectors. And you could tap into those resources, and they come, quite cheap. You don't have to pay much for that. So that's my advice, but I'll leave it to the doctor.
So you're already starting to invest in R&D by investing in you, reaching to this point. Most of the founders are the R&D arms and are the, let's say, the gold mine that you explore and you try to invest in order to create a business.
Couple of questions. You mentioned the community of practice, and if I heard you, it's not just on the company level, but it's on big level as well. So that the first question is that right? The second question is, how do you see that useful? I come from a place that used to have community of practice, and it was a very annoying mandate. It was not really something that I saw results out of. These are the questions.
Thank you very much, Abdulaziz. I used to work for the World Bank Group, and I remember when I got hired, they told me, well, we're hiring you because of the knowledge management background you have. I'm like, what's so special about that? And they said, well, they had James Wolfenson, who joined the World Bank as a president. He said, we want to call it as a knowledge bank rather than the World Bank, because of the accumulation of knowledge the bank got over 50 years, and clients started asking the bank not for loans, but for knowledge, developmental knowledge associated with those loans. And here I'm talking about countries versus the World Bank. And I remember they've had almost 200 communities of practices at the time. So as an employee of the bank, you could, there was special departments that you go to, and they will assign a small budget for a coordinator of that community, and then they, go and recruit subject matter expert or people who have just interests in the subjects that's to be discussed. And based on the recommendations of that communities, they'll go to the sponsorship within the bank So for us, luckily now, that was 20 plus years ago. Now, with the technological advancement that you see, such communication is a lot easier to take place. So it's happening at the production floor level, where the production managers or the factory manufacturing directors, they meet, and they meet weekly, and they meet almost daily, briefing between employees and their management, and everyone kind of report out what they think is the best practice to solve X problem or Y problem, and they had already discussed similar issues with their colleagues in China or in Mexico or in the US. Is it quantified? There is difficulties usually to quantify such outcome, because it's similar to training and development. How do you actually quantify that? But I'll tell you what is quantifiable. The energy level and the engagement level is usually reflected when we do the global employees survey on a yearly basis, because that's a reflection of how much your production workers are attached to the organization. Do you have high attritions in terms of turnover? Do you have safety issues? Because quality issues. And truly, based on experience, is once you employees are not as engaged, you start to have quality issues. You have high attritions. So you might not see the direct impact from, hey, did it really or did it not? But overall, I'll tell you, employees who are engaged, who feel their voice is heard, is more productive employees than those that don't have such platforms like the communities of practice. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Mohammed. I have just a question. I'm sure everyone here knows about data analysis and AI, but we like to know just an example from your industry about the benefit of AI and data analysis.
Lots of benefits. I don't know where to start and where to end. I'll give you an example that I always like to use about AI, machine learning, and the importance and what they can do that human cannot do. We are a certified ESCO company, which means a university campus like this one has hundreds of thousands of sensors that are controlling the mechanical and the electrical systems. So now, if you wanted to optimize a campus like this one for the better efficiency, you cannot do it as a human. You just cannot do it. You're going to have a system that is able to read, predict, and then act if you wanted to optimize it for excellence. And we've seen such an example in the University of Texas using a system that we have in Johnson called OpenBlue. But this is, we've applied this particular system for another university campus in Riyadh. The data that get generated out of such a university campus, and I got the pleasure actually to visit your command and control center here in this university, in Chaos. It just, human cannot optimize. You could do it, but you're going to have to hire thousands of people just to read the data and optimize, because when it comes to machines, we don't know how they will operate. Even the inventor and the designer of those machines that installed them, as a company, as a manufacturer, we have to actually, we know the parameters, but when it comes to the ambient temperatures, the number of occupants in the building, you cannot. So you have to use algorithms, enter it and populate your system, and then allows the machines to learn over. And it takes sometimes a year or 2 or 3 for it. What the doctor spoke about, it took him 8 years for the development, for the technology that he's using. In our industry, it takes about 7 to 8 or 9 years to enhance the compressor technology. The compressor technology of the water-cooled machines was created about 50 years ago. If you look at, even if I shift, we talked about EVs. I mean, the lead acid batteries, they've existed, the technology, I mean, the basic principle of the lead acid battery was created a couple of thousands of years ago. And it's still the same principles. The same, you have not reached that advancement, huge advancement in the technology. So what AI and machine learning bring to the table is something that we have not seen and experienced before. I've looked at the nice statistics by the IBM. They're saying the amount of data that get created in the past 2 years are higher than the amount of data that get created ever. When I talked about data centers, I mean, the market size of data centers today is about 130, 140 billion US dollar. That number is increasing. I mean, we're expecting to see some close to $250 billion worth of data centers being built by the year of 2028. And that means data that has to be processed and to make sense of, for someone to act upon them, or for systems to I mean, give us what we need to execute. So excellent question, but the answer is quite complicated. Thank you. Thank you.